What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another video. This video is going to be looking at the Premier League match between Leicester and Tottenham. Tottenham ended up winning the match in dramatic fashion at the end of the game with 2 goals from Bergwijn. Now, before we get into the tactics behind the match, check out both my books. They're online on Amazon and there's links in the description below. Also, be sure to check out Keyframe. It's how I'm making this video. Now let's get right into the tactics. So Tottenham built from the back with 3 central defenders, a single pivot for most of the match, and following the single pivot, we often had 3 players further in front of him. So Lucas Moura played more as a number 10 position in the central corridor, dropping between the lines, with Bergwijn and Oliver Skipp playing more as number 8s, often able to come deeper to form a double pivot or come between central defenders and release a wide center back to then go further up the field and allow rotation to occur higher up the field as well. Now Leicester, they played in a 5-3-2, trying to control the central corridors with their 3-man midfield and allow to isolate the ball with 2 forwards blocking the holding midfielder and cutting the field. Now the main rotation for Tottenham occurred when one of these 8s for Tottenham would come between central defenders, and this would release center back to go higher up the field into the wide area, and then Oliver Skipp would drop to then become a deep lying playmaker on the ball and allow then inverting to happen or Lucas Moura more space to go in the half space. Now we see here Tottenham on the ball again, and just in a little bit different structure with now an asymmetric midfield 3 with Højbjerg and Skipp both coming as a double pivot to then try and create more security and circulation and affect the Leicester City midfield a bit more and the 2 forwards. So by having their double pivot, it provides more access into the central corridor, which Leicester responds into a more compact man-oriented fashion in this central corridor, which releases space in the wide area and it offers a route of progression in a vacated area. We see now Lucas Moura, when a holding midfielder drops, we have more freedom for Lucas Moura to then operate between the lines and try and get on the ball. Now clearly we can see the use of numerical superiority in the first and second line of build-up. So we have a 4v2 in build-up, giving Tottenham the advantage and allowing them to really use their central defenders to drive through the half space around the first line of pressure, and then the goal would then be attract a midfielder to jump out to the central defender and create a free man between the lines. So with runners like Højbjerg going higher up the field, pinning defenders into their defensive position, allowing Lucas Moura to then come across and overload the space between the lines, allows them to effectively use the space in more advanced areas. So then from here, with our central defender coming higher up the field, we have Oliver Skipp on the weak side as an option to then try and hold the midfield to the weak side and separate horizontal connections between them, or offer a solution to go around the midfield using a diagonal pass. Now, although Tottenham did have majority of possession, we can see Leicester City using a more versatile build-up approach with a flexible back 3, with Chadbury allowed to then go into the wide area and play more as a wing-back or a full-back in certain instances, but also come as a right central defender. We then have a midfield 3 looking to create numerical advantages against the 2 holding midfielders of Tottenham and try and progress higher up the field. Tottenham typically played with 5-3-2, but in instances where a midfielder would jump, we can see how he could connect with Harry Kane and Lucas Moura to create a 5-2-3, but in deeper areas it was typically a midfield 3 with then Lucas Moura and Kane as the 2 forwards trying to win the ball back and waiting for transition. Now in deeper areas we can clearly see the 4-man diamond build-up for Leicester City, similar to how Tottenham built from the back and followed by a midfield 3. The only difference is the compactness and spatial orientation of Tottenham was much better than what we saw from Leicester. So we would have a central pressing trap around Tielemans, with players in the midfield having multiple access points to this player. So as we see here, even Harry Kane has the potential to drop deeper and close down the space around Tielemans, allowing them to create this central pressing trap in their mid-block, leading to advantageous transitions into the final third. Now building from the back, Leicester did have some dangerous opportunities when they would break Tottenham's press, and this is even how they scored the goal. So now they would have Kasper Schmeichel be at the base of the diamond to then create the 4-versus-2 build-up against Tottenham's first line of pressure. Then we'd have the right central defender move into the wide area and go with single width, allowing players to then occupy more advanced spaces and giving a better numerical advantage higher up the field. Tottenham dealt with this through staggering of their midfield, Højbjerg just off our screen to the left, and Oliver Skip coming to the strong side, using man orientation against the first and second line of their build-up, and then having dual roles or spatial control principles cover the players between the lines. As we see here, cover shadow and direct access to the fullback. Now for the last picture, we see Oliver Skip jumping to create three-man first line of pressure with Højbjerg and Winks just below this first line of pressure, creating a 5-2-3. Again, with cover shadows around Tielemans blocking access to him and giving them more players in the first line, gives them better access to the first line of Leicester City's build-up, allowing them to apply more pressure on the ball. So from here, this would allow them to make it easier to isolate the ball in the wide area and trap Tottenham and trap Leicester City in their first phase of build-up. That's where we're going to wrap up the analysis, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.